It's a movie. Red carpet, the lights going through me. Anytime I arrive, it's the new me. Real diamonds on my neck, that's groovy. Flashing lights. All these things come to me. Dressing price. All my rings got weight. You feel that? You feel that? Hey, you heard that? Classic.
Done. Just knocked out the morning workout. Super cloudy, super gray. But we are done. We are basically 1 week into just dedicated HYROX training, and that workout was hard. Not hard like a 20-mile long run hard, but hard in a different way. I think the first thing I noticed difference-wise between a HYROX workout and marathon training is you can ease into like a long run. Like you can, you know, gradually pick up the pace, but with HYROX workouts, it's just the intensity needs to be there because you're trying to learn how to manage that. So that's what, you know, this week has been, is just picking up the intensity and obviously working on fatigue. I was just telling the homie, I think one of the biggest things, I always say I was telling the homie, I have a lot of homies, so I'll have a lot of these conversations, so bear with me, it's not always the same homie. But the biggest thing that I would say is HYROX, while it is an endurance race, a running race with obstacles, it's also like a strategy game as well. And by that I mean being able to navigate and know when to ease off and knowing when to pick your spots and how to apply your energy over the long haul. I'll do my normal workout and then I'll start my HYROX workout. That way I'm kind of tricking my body to work when it's fatigued and, you know, finding that extra gear. Because if I do the HYROX workout first, it'll still be good, but for the sake of like the time of day I go, it's really busy, it's hard to like navigate the machines. I much rather do my workout, kind of wear myself down, and then start a new workout. You gotta do what you gotta do with the space and time that you have. But we're gonna go home now, we're gonna refuel, and we're going to run a few miles as well. I've been trying to do that. I have a goal of trying to run basically every day all the way up until HYROX. Maybe I'll take one rest day, but these aren't crazy miles. There's really no more than like 6 miles, you know, mixing it up, 4, 5, 6 miles, and then like a day or two where it's just like 2 to 3 miles of tempo, just so that I'm keeping that engine, you know, nice and primed, and I'm working on pacing, because that's going to be a huge thing. What our HYROX Doubles coming up is locking in a pace that helps us get a good time. In our simulation, we didn't talk about anything. We just kind of went and thugged it out. So that was kind of impressive. But our goal is sub 60. That's what we want to do. We're in striking range. And for our first time to go as smooth as it did, I feel like we can do it. And I'm really looking forward to attacking that. So let's get to it. All right, we back, and I am done with my training responsibilities for the week. My first big takeaway is that HYROX training versus Phoenix marathon training. HYROX training doesn't take up my whole day. Like when I was doing my marathon training, that was like hijacking my schedule, and with good reason. Obviously, you're getting ready for something major that could last multiple hours. HYROX is just really intense for an hour and some change, or less than an hour if you're lucky. But we're done with that for this week. I'm going to do a training run with my HYROX Doubles partner tomorrow. We're going to do a track workout. I didn't get to do enough of these during Phoenix marathon training, so I'm really looking forward to this. But I'll take you there with me on that little training session tomorrow. But yeah, right now I am just basically kind of game planning and strategizing. That's what when I'm not actually physically doing something, I'm mentally trying to dial in, because as I mentioned before, HYROX, there is a mental component of it, and you got to be able to navigate both of those things, you know, simultaneously. So with the help of ChatGPT, I did create a playbook for me and for my partner. This is it right here. So it's basically guiding me through a few workouts, a few strategies, and just, you know, how to navigate these next 3 weeks and race day. It's actually been really helpful because it's taking information based on obviously what it knows I've done getting ready for the marathon, and then I gave it some information from our simulations. And speaking of simulations, I did want to share some clips from that. So the simulation was at the spot called the Collective in Gilbert. Now this was my second simulation at this location. I did another one at the end of last year while I was kind of mid marathon training. It went okay. I kind of survived it. I finished with 1 hour and 19 minutes, which to me was very mid, but I just wasn't really ready for the intensity that comes with the simulation. Granted, it's not the real thing, but it's one step closer to the real thing. And if you are training for a HYROX and you have a simulation in your area, be it a half simulation or a full simulation, do it. Because I couldn't imagine showing up to Phoenix HYROX, or HYROX-PHOENIX, excuse me, without this prior, like, you know, experience. Like, I couldn't just get there and raw dog it, because watching it on YouTube and social media, it looks doable. It looks fun, and it is doable and it is fun, but there is another element to it where you can't mimic the intensity that will come with that day in the gym or just with your regular workout. So like I said, if you have an opportunity to do a simulation, do it. So I did that first simulation. That was back, I want to say at the end of October. Yeah. And there was a lot of things that exposed some holes in my game, some things I needed to work on. But again, like I said, I was mid marathon training. So to kind of switch gears for one day is probably where most of my struggle came from. But fast forward to the top of this year, we did a simulation, a double simulation. That prior one was a singles, and we didn't talk about anything. We literally just showed up, got out the car, literally arrived maybe 5 minutes before we were supposed to start, and you know, we just kind of figured it out on the fly. So that, to me, like I said before, that was kind of impressive. But I'd rather it go that way. I'm one of those people where, like, I'd rather follow our instincts, and then, you know, since it was a practice, then we can come back to the drawing board and figure out all the finer points in the detail. So boom, this is us running. Obviously after the first 1 kilometer run, we come back, we get right into the ski erg. That's what you see right there. I went first on everything, which is something that we won't be doing on the HYROX-PHOENIX, because whoever's going second is getting put into a compromised position because they're getting right out of the workout back into the run. And only reason I was going first on this one was because I had the prior experience of doing the singles, and it was kind of just like leading the way. So we've already talked about what we want to do and figure out as far as switching turns on each station and where his strengths are, where my weaknesses are, and vice versa. So boom, after the ski erg, back into the run. After that run, we get straight into, I believe it was sled push and sled pull. The only difference I will say with the simulation is there's not a run in between the sled push and sled pull. You kind of do it back to back. So that's not an accurate depiction of how it'll go. I almost messed up on this part because as we're running, I'm telling him what's next, kind of getting him mentally ready. And for whatever reason, I told him it was burpees next, and burpees is after all that. So we get that corrected on the fly. Didn't lose much time. Back into the run. From that run, burpees. For him, this is his first time doing burpees. I know my first time doing burpees kind of sucked, but the second time I was just much more prepared and ready for them. And then after those burpees, obviously back to a run. I run into a row machine. I really struggled on the row machine last time. It's maybe because the direction of the row, it was like pointing in the sun, and the one we did prior, or the one I did prior, it was much more warmer. We got like 10 to 90 degrees, and some of these stations were outside. So that row machine like just killed me. And that's usually where people recover. That was not the case for me. So at that point in the simulation on the singles, shit was starting to fall apart for me anyway. So everything else was just getting progressively worse. So knocked out the row machine, another run into the farmer's carries. Tyler, my partner, said that this was the easiest part for him. We walked it, but I know maybe on race day, I'm considering running with the kettlebells just because that's an area where I feel like we could have saved some time. So after that, obviously run, come back, and we get right into lunges. Lunges are not my strongest like station, and not because like I can't do it, but at this point my legs are really heavy, and I always have this fear in the back of my mind of cramping, especially after what went down in the marathon. So I try to take it easy on the lunges. But from the lunges, another run, and as all this is going on, I'm like kind of monitoring the time, and I'm like, yo bro, we are flirting with sub 60 as we're doing a simulation. But by this last run, I knew we were going to be just outside of sub 60. And so as we're coming around the corner and headed into the last station, I'm like, yo, let's just try to shoot for 110 or under 110, sub 110. And so we get to the wall balls. We decided to split it up with 20, 20, 20, 20. That way, you know, it just wasn't too much. Like some people do 50 and 50. Some people do 15, 10, 10. We did 20, 20, 20, 20, and it worked out just great. So we finished the simulation and, you know, waiting for the judge to tell us the time. And we did a 103.58, which to our surprise, like I knew we were close, but like I was very happy with that time. Mostly because, like I said, we had never trained a HYROX session before. We didn't warm up. We got there very late and we didn't talk about anything. This was just us being two athletes with an understanding of what, you know, the simulation was and what needed to get done. So for us to do that, we immediately knew that our next goal would be a sub 60. Now, granted, I will not forget that it is a simulation and the race day and the real thing is going to be some differences, but I think we're close enough and we have the fitness to bring that time down. So obviously we've been going back and forth. Like I said, this goes back to that playbook I put, you know, it's basically guiding us towards a sub 60. So that is the plan for HYROX-PHOENIX. I'll be happy with whatever we do because I know it'll be good. But going from a 119 on the singles down to a 103 on the doubles, I'm just like motivated right now, to be honest, because I know I can get a better singles time now that I understand what it actually takes to complete the HYROX course. But for this HYROX-PHOENIX, granted, it's only open, so I understand that it's not the pro weight, but you got to start somewhere. So we're going to try to go knock out this open and then obviously start getting ready for a pro race. But yeah, that was our simulation. Yeah, we've just been staying locked in until then. As of right now, I feel really good about where I'm at. I feel really good about where he's at. And more importantly, I feel really good about where we're at as a team. So next time you see me, we will be on the track for our training run. My HYROX Doubles partner. Just gonna work on some speed and pacing and just talk about whatever he's seeing, whatever I'm seeing. And, you know, just kind of fine tune our game plan. But until then,
the number you have dialed is not available at present. Please leave your message after the beep.
Yeah, trendsetter. Whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach for my goals, hit it dead center. Hit it dead center. Bullseye, hit it the most, there's no misses. Something like fish in a barrel, it's no different. Blindfold on me, I still got the most vision. Trendsetter told them before, but they don't listen.